Shout out to Le'Veon Dickerson, Hall of Fame.
What's up, sports fans? Welcome to Field Vision, brought to you by War Room Sports in conjunction with the Sports Kings. I'm your host this evening, Jimmy, at JW the Blueprint, also known as Jim Metheus, the Greek god. At the round table tonight, it's a short round table. I have Frank from Sports Kings. Frank, what's going on?
I feel like this is Survivor. Everybody else got voted off the island. We're the only ones left, man.
You already know. It's how it happens in the holiday season. Fred Purdue of Heavy in the Games from down in Florida. What's going on, Fred?
What's going on, guys? And by the way, the strongest do survive.
Okay, here we go with the Patriots talk. We didn't even get started yet.
By the way, congrats to Tom Brady for making the Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah, congrats to Peyton Manning for breaking Tom Brady's record. Now, with that being said, what we're going to talk about tonight is this. We're going to talk about the big games in the NFC with the Green Bay-Chicago game. We'll talk about the Philadelphia-Dallas game. Those games, winner takes the division and gets the playoff spot. Before we jump into that, though, let's talk about the 6th seed in the AFC, which is still up for grabs. Baltimore controls their own destiny, I believe. If Baltimore wins, they get in. But if they lose, then it gets kind of crazy. If everybody loses, Frank just made me aware that Miami gets in, which is crazy that if Baltimore wins, they get in. But if everybody loses, including Baltimore, they don't get in. We're no mathematicians, but that's what happens mathematically. So with that being said, gentlemen, who do you think will take the 6th seed in the AFC and move on to the playoffs?
I'll take this one first. I think Baltimore gets in. Baltimore, last week they didn't look all that great, but you gotta like the chances of win or go home. When you put a team like Baltimore up against the wall and you say, look, you gotta win or go home. Mm-hmm. A Jim Harbaugh coach team, a Ravens team, we all know always shows up when it matters the most, except last week against the Patriots. They tend to win out. And this is a team you don't want to play in the playoffs because somehow they always find a way to get hot in the playoffs. So I think it's Baltimore. It's going to be close, but I think Baltimore gets in by a hair.
Okay, Frank, who would you think is going to win the spot?
So the team I think is going to get in is the Chargers. I think they have the easiest game of all 4 teams because Kansas City literally has nothing to play for. Like, the only team in the league that has absolutely nothing to play for, it doesn't matter. Obviously Cincinnati, always a wild card. You don't know what Cincinnati is going to go out and do against Baltimore. I really don't like the Dolphins to beat the Jets at all in New York. And the one team to look out for, shout out to Jim Ricalto, the miracle scenario, the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs, I don't even want to see Jim Ricalto anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
If they make the playoffs,
he's going to be talking about how Big Ben making the playoffs at 8-8 is so much more impressive than what Peyton Manning did this year with all the adversity he overcame. I can see it now.
If they make the playoffs, If they make the playoffs, he will tell you that Ben Roethlisberger making the playoffs this season is more impressive than either of his Super Bowl wins. And by the way, so if the Steelers make the playoffs, Jim Ricalto will be getting blocked on Twitter. So with that being said,
can I ask one question before we move on?
What's that, Fred?
Does Mike Tomlin get a great assist for being on the field at that point in time?
Well, they lost the game.
They lost the game.
But does he get any kind of an assist? Because Almost.
No, only because they lost the game.
Only because they lost.
If they won the game, then maybe that'd be a different story.
If they would have won that game, right, and then made the playoffs because, possibly they won that game, that changes a lot. With that being said, though, Baltimore has to be the favorite because Cincinnati still is Cincinnati until they prove otherwise. But you make a great point, Frank, in terms of the Chargers playing the Chiefs with nothing to play for. Because even if the Chiefs have something to play for, I would pick the Chargers in that game because they're home. And they're a tough team at home, and the Chiefs, although they're shown to be a good team this year, they're still the Chiefs to me. They won 2 games last year. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, and I'm not a big proponent at all of just sitting your players and playing for nothing, especially if you're Kansas City. Like, you need some momentum. You need to go. You can't just turn off the gears. You're not the Miami Heat of the NFL. You can't just turn that switch on. You don't have LeBron James on the other side that can just turn things around.
And see, it's also easier in basketball to do that because you're playing in a series. Same baseball, you're playing in a series. In football, you're playing one game. You don't have time to get your rhythm back.
Right. You really need that momentum.
The only upside to that really is that they can get some guys healthy like Dwayne Bowe and Tamba Hali. You can get those guys healthy.
If you have injuries, that's something different. Right. But just to rest guys for the sake of resting them is a whole different argument.
Rest those hangnails.
You know what I'm saying? Now, the NFL is probably loving this. To my conspiracy theorists out there, we have a couple games in which everything's on the line. We see that the Eagles game was flexed to Sunday night against the Cowboys. The Packers and Bears game got pushed to the 4 o'clock. So we have some games that you win, you go to the playoffs, and if you don't, you go home. Let's start with this Green Bay Chicago game. Who do you see as the favorite, and who will win? Let's start with you, Frank.
Green Bay, I really like what I've seen from their running game. Eddie Lacy has really proven to me that he can win this whole Rookie of the Year thing. And when you have Aaron Rodgers coming back, even if Aaron Rodgers is a third of a normal Aaron Rodgers, that's much better than Matt Flynn. And this Bears defense is god awful. This Bears defense.
So a third of Aaron Rodgers is greater than Matt Flynn. I think we got ourselves a show title, gentlemen. Hey, Frank, what you see, Frank?
I agree with Fred. I got Green Bay. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. If Aaron Rodgers comes back and they have a chance to make the playoffs, this is my dark horse team. Look out for them. I think they make a deep run in the playoffs. Nobody wants to play an Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay team with a chip on their shoulder, getting all their guys back in the right time. They lost. I don't know about Clay Matthews he's out this week. I don't know what he'll be like come playoffs, but there's no way I trust the Chicago Bears. No way I trust Jay Cutler. Green Bay.
Yo, and real quick,
you made a great point with that.
I'm also going with Green Bay just because they have Jay Cutler. And this is the greatest thing. Everybody knows I am not a Jay Cutler fan at all. The greatest thing that ever happened is when they got killed by the Eagles and got a 50 spot put on them. When I got on the line the next day, all of their fans turned on him. Everybody was turning on Jay Cutler. It was like, yo, Jay Cutler came back and ruined our season. That was literally one of the greatest moments in this season for me. Anyway, with that being said,
you talked about the offense, but you really forgot about to say this defense is terrible.
Which one, the Bears?
The Bears' defense is just terrible.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit on our podcast last night, Fred. I don't think they're terrible, but, yo, cover 2 doesn't work no more. Like, let's just put that out there.
I just think they're a below-average defense that can't make up for all the offensive errors like they used to.
You got injuries, too. I mean, you got a lot of guys playing out of position. I mean, this defense can't really get any pressure anymore, and linebackers just bad right now.
Yo, the cover 2 doesn't work anymore. Everybody's running these spread offenses, so the cover 2 just doesn't work. It doesn't work in college. You see what happened at USC when they were trying to run a cover 2 and giving up like a gazillion points a game. It doesn't work in the pros. I mean, I really think this is why Tony Dungy's not coming back, because he realized the cover 2 no longer works. So, that being said, listen, let's talk about this. The next big game. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys, and, from what I'm hearing, Tony Romo has had surgery, so he won't play. Mm-hmm. So, Eagles play the Cowboys. No Romo, pause. But, Frank, let's start with you, Frank. What do you think about this game?
So this game is so confusing to me because on paper, there's no way why the Philadelphia Eagles don't win this game by 25 points. You got them in a dome. I mean, even though Dallas is at home, you got that spread offense in a dome. They're just going to run all over them. Cowboys have the worst defense possibly in NFL history. You can even argue it, and that's terrible. But, this is why they play the games. Division rival, NFC East. Like, these games are always crazy. No Romo. The way the Cowboys season has gone, just a complete soap opera. What would be better than a Kyle Orton-led Cowboys team in the playoffs? And then you got all these people talking about should Kyle Orton be the starter over Tony Romo because he's not clutch, and Kyle Orton's going to be clutch and come through. It would be the best thing ever if the Cowboys won this game. I couldn't pull the trigger, though. I got the Eagles. They can't
so
lose
with
this
all
game.
That being said, you're still
But it would not surprise me at all if the Cowboys win, just because the NFL is crazy like that. I mean, that's why they play the games.
Now, before I get to you, Fred, I just want to say I do think it would be crazy if the Cowboys won. I think the Eagles are going to put a hurting on these boys, 40 to 17. Damn. I think the Eagles are going to put up 40 points on them. Listen, man, this Cowboys defense is atrocious, yo. I watched them play the Packers, and the Packers literally run the same play 4 times in a row. The same play 4 times in a row, and it didn't even matter. I mean, their defensive backs are deplorable. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, they're terrible. They're going to get killed this game. Fred, what's your opinion?
Well, you guys kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I think this Cowboy team is gonna get slaughtered. there is that chance that, you have that. The NFL is very crazy like that, where you have an Eagles team that could easily lay an egg and just be out of it. But at the same time, I don't see it. Kyle Orton hasn't played since, 2011. I just really don't see it. Des Bryant might make some big plays, but you have too many weapons. You have Shady McCoy, Deshaun Jackson. Nick Foles is playing out of his mind. And, by the way, the defense for the Cowboys is terrible. And I agree with you. The cover two, again, it just doesn't work. And you have a bunch of pieces that don't fit the cover two. So it doesn't matter even if it did work. They don't have the pieces. This Cowboys team is going to get murdered.
The thing, though, is you can never underestimate everything we're saying. Like, where everybody in the media and everybody's saying, the Cowboys are going to get slaughtered. They're terrible. And then on the other side, everybody's saying, the Eagles are going to kill them. So then on the Eagles sideline, they start getting their chest puffed out. They're starting thinking, we don't even need to prep for this game because these Cowboys are just so bad.
And that's where you lose.
And then on the other side, you got the Cowboys just thinking like, everybody thinks we're going to lose. They think we suck. You combine those two things, and sometimes you just get this crazy, crazy game.
Yeah, but I also think that Minnesota game that the Eagles lost without Adrian Peterson, by the way, I think that's the difference right there. They're not going to go into this game the same way. They learned their lesson through that. I think they're going to put a hurting on these boys.
I will say there's one X factor, DeMarco Murray. If DeMarco Murray can keep this Eagles team off the field, they can run the football effectively. Yeah. That is a big if, because the Cowboys' play calling is atrocious. You have the ball and you can run the ball, and you see you can run the ball, and you're still going to throw it. Listen, and we know how Jason Garrett does his play calling.
I mean, DeMarco Murray.
Bill
DeMarco Murray also has to stay on the field too, man.
Yeah,
because DeMarco Murray is one of those guys, man. After 2 runs, he's bringing himself out. Like, so he runs out of bounds. Like, he's an embarrassment to all the old NFL running backs. He runs out of bounds.
He's not getting any concussions.
No, and I respect that, but I give him a lot of credit because I tell you one thing. Like, in the beginning of the season, he started off slow. Once he grew his beard out and he became a real man, he started playing better. But he's still like,
he really does try to beg to get it.
Doc Bay,
you got guys like Matt Forte. Anytime Matt Forte gets out of the game, like anytime you try, he's like so mad. He doesn't even like dap Michael Bush at all. He doesn't even want to get out of the game. DeMarco Murray, after like one run, he's just like,
he gets
waving him on.
It's funny because Doc Bay on our podcast has a joke. He says that he's only good in 400-yard increments. Every 400 yards, he gets hurt. Now, we've done some research. It's been about 600-plus yards since he's been hurt. He's actually due for an injury, too. So, we'll see what happens, man. But I agree with you, Fred, to your point, though. Even when they're able to run the ball, they don't. So there's issues with that as well. You would think with the backup quarterback coming in, you would try to, give him the run support so he doesn't go out there and win it by himself. But something tells me that they don't care. They're going to wing it anyway.
They're going to throw the ball.
They're going to throw it anyway.
The one thing I really remember about Kyle Orton, the last time we saw him was when he was with the Denver Broncos. They were still throwing the ball 200 and 300 and 400 times a season. It was way too much, and they didn't have that type of offense. And they won 2 games. That was the year, if I remember correctly, they drafted Von Miller. And it was just bad. Why would you do that, knowing that you have some type of running game? And Kyle Orton couldn't get the job done.
I mean, one thing I will say is you can have worse backup quarterbacks than Kyle Orton. So, I mean, at least that's a good thing for the Cowboys.
You could have John Kitna at 41.
Than Kyle Orton.
I mean, they went and picked up John Kitna, and, shout out to at the BS line on Twitter who told me, he says, John Kitna, now he's in the NFL. He's the only NFL quarterback right now in the league that played with Warren Moon. So, they do have that distinction, but Kyle Orton, right?
They took them kids teachers.
Kyle Orton had a chance to be the starter in Kansas City, but instead wanted to go to Dallas and be a backup. So we don't even know if he wants to play football, but it is what it is.
He's trying to just cash them checks. All of a sudden, he's got to get in the game. He's like, I didn't anticipate this.
You got a pretty good gig. You get good seats. You get nice money. Listen, though, any surprises you guys want to point out before we get out of here? Anything that you think we should look out for going into these playoffs? Frank, I'll start with you.
I think the NFC playoffs are going to be absolute insanity. I don't think Seattle gets out as the Super Bowl contender in the NFC. I think they go down either to the Packers in the second round or Carolina comes in and beats them in Seattle in the championship because when you look at what the Cardinals did, how they beat Seattle, the Panthers can do everything that the Cardinals did because they have that kind of defense, and they have a better quarterback because Cam Newton, though he is prone to throw interceptions every once in a while, he's not going to throw a Carson Palmer like 7 interception day. So I'm looking for the Packers or the Panthers to come out of the NFC.
Okay, Packers and Panthers. That's your surprise. The NFC says going to be crazy. Now, Fred, any predictions you want to make?
I do. I have two. The Denver Broncos, they're not going to be that team everyone thinks they're going to be. Sorry, Jimmy. I just don't think they will make it out. I don't think
Von Miller's a huge loss.
Von Miller's huge, yes. And I also think, and I'm going to go with you, Frank, I really don't think the Seahawks are getting out of this NFC race now. It looks great on paper. They're the best team on paper. But losing Brandon Browner, that hurts. You can't live with a patchwork secondary in a league that is all about throwing the football, especially in a conference that is definitely all about throwing the football when you have Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, and on and on. And I think if somehow, some way, the Cardinals get in, it's going to be very, very scary. That team on defense is just very, very good. And it reminds me, they have a quarterback. And that is the difference between this team and last year.
Who has a quarterback?
Cardinals?
Right? The Cardinals have a better quarterback now than they did last year.
Who they signed this week?
That's true.
Carson Palmer is dreadful. Are you kidding me?
He's better than John Skelton, though.
He's better than what they had. He's the best quarterback they've had since Kurt Warner, and he gives them a chance.
What is that really saying, though? Like, what is that really? What are you really saying?
But when you're throwing that many picks, he's gonna throw a lot of picks.
Yo, you know what the Cardinals needed?
That's the problem. That's why it stinks.
Yo, you know what the Cardinals needed? Yo, they needed Alex Smith. If you give the Cardinals Alex Smith, that's a Super Bowl team.
Absolutely, because he won't turn it over.
I don't trust Alex Smith to get me.
All right, listen, gentlemen. Listen to this logic I'm about to give you. This is flawless logic. Listen. Last year, going into the playoffs, there is no way anyone could have told me that my Broncos were not going to the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
And they lost. And I was pissed. I made a video about it. You can check it on our channel. You can check it like right here. I'll put it here. But here's the thing. This year, I really have no confidence in us. I think we're not playing our best ball going into the playoffs, and I don't think we will make it. And because I think that, we probably will.
I see where you're going.
You see what I did with that? That's how it works. And listen, same thing happened years ago when we lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars when no one could have told me we wasn't going to the Super Bowl. We had a great team, lost to Jacksonville. Then after that, we ran off 2 straight. Anyway, with that being said, in the NFC, Seattle is this. Only the reason that I still would lean towards Seattle is because of the home field advantage. But here's the thing: they can be beat. I agree with both of you. They can be beat. In terms of what Fred said about Arizona, no. That's all I gotta say about that. As long as Carson Palmer's there, no.
I don't think they'll get to a Super Bowl or anything, but that's just a team that really could scare you, especially defensively. Even without Tyrann Mathieu. Without Tyrann Mathieu, you can have guys like Calais Campbell and Patrick Peterson on that defense that make your life.
Anytime you have a good defense, you'll be in the game. Anytime you have a good defense, you'll be in the game.
I'm definitely looking for. I definitely think it's going to happen. The Fred Purdue, Jimmy Williams, Denver Broncos, New England Patriots showdown in the AFC Championship. I want to see all the trash talk.
You're not going to be my friend, man. That week we won't be.
I'm going to talk trash. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it 1,000 right now. Or as my man Marlon say, I'm going to keep it 250. Listen, I would love that just so I could talk trash to you, but I would be afraid. Your team, to be honest with you, is the one team I don't want to play. I'm hoping somebody else beats you guys. I mean, let's be honest. I hope somebody else. I hope Baltimore gets in and beats you guys.
The only wild card to me would be the Colts if they can get hot and behind Andrew Luck if they can kind of make a run, but I don't think that's going to happen. None of those AFC teams scare me.
No running game, that bad defense.
Colts have no running game, yo.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck leads their team in rushing touchdowns.
Can we believe?
I don't trust the Bengals. I don't trust the Chiefs. I don't trust the Ravens or whoever would get in. All
right, before we get out of here, here's the consensus, because what it sounds like to me is there are no clear-cut favorites this year on either side, right? That's what it sounds like, what you guys talking. It sounds like the AFC, you have the Broncos, but they're still not a clear-cut favorite. And even though Seattle is dominant, they're still not a clear. It looks like you guys are saying there's no favorite that you can pick right now that's run through either conference.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, this should be a very exciting playoffs, man. And we'll be back again before the playoffs start to break down what's going to happen in the wild card round. But this has been another episode of Field Vision. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, hit the like button, comment, and let us know what you thought about anything we said. Who do you think will win these games? Who will make the playoffs? And what surprises can we look for in the playoffs? As always, listen, check out sports-kings.com. Look up Fred Purdue at FPurdue Sports on Twitter or at Heavy in the Games on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles will be below. Listen, it's been a very exciting season that's coming to a close, and we look forward to the second season being the playoffs. As we always say, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance. This has been Field Vision, and we'll see you chumps on top.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table, 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.